Hey, secret friends, welcome back to the Spotlight. This is, of course, our show where we talk to folks in the entertainment business that make the stuff we love. And we are privileged to be joined by actually a returning interviewee, a star of the Star Trek universe, Elizabeth Dennehy. Elizabeth, good evening.
How are you?
Doing well, doing well. It's great to see you. Great to be in the presence of the august admiral, the slayer of the Borg, who ended up getting slayed by the Borg. But we don't need to talk about that just yet.
It's so funny. I just finished emptying my dishwasher. It's so funny how everybody thinks that that's how I walk around the world, like I'm in the Admiral, ordering somebody else to empty my dishwasher.
It's so funny. I have to do the exact same thing when we're done here. I have to load up to the dishwasher. I was a captain once upon a time in the Star Trek fan club, and now I'm just opening the dishwasher. But anyway, let's get the ball rolling. Whenever I do one of these interviews, I'd like to just kind of get started at the start. So tell me how you got started in the entertainment business. Tell me all about it.
Well, I grew up in a theatrical household. You might know my dad, Brian Dennehy.
Indeed.
So before he even started working professionally, he was always doing amateur theater, and him and his brother were always acting out scenes like from On the Waterfront, and they were, constantly acting and putting on shows, and they did dinner theater and community theater. And it looked like a lot of fun, and it looked like a lot more fun than what my friends' fathers were doing working for the telephone company and, 9 to 5 jobs in cubicles.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
looked like a lot of fun. And so we, of course, were the kids whenever they needed kids in shows. Like they did Tennessee Williams' Cat on Hot Tin Roof. We were the No Neck Monsters. We were the kids. We were always the kids. And it was just not born in a trunk. I don't want it to sound romantic like that, but just that was normal. That was normal for
Yeah.
us. Every weekend, dad was in a show. We were either in it or going to see it. And so steeped in dance, singing, acting. It's almost like we almost didn't have a choice. So, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun to run around and make believe rather than, I mean, I had a summer job once working for a mortgagee corporation,
Oof.
filling out insurance forms. And so, you kind of weigh this and that. And so I went to college and I majored in theater and did a lot of theater. And then I went to London and studied some more. And as soon as I left school, started pounding the pavement, trying to get work, going on auditions.
And the rest is history. History in. That's
I've been,
awesome.
yeah, I've been very, very lucky.
Awesome. Gotcha. Good deal. Peter.
Okay. So I always find it interesting when like actors play a wide range of characters. Like you've played a whole bunch of different kinds of people all over the board. Because it seems to me that it takes like different sides of that person to play those different kinds of characters. So when you're given a role, how do you approach getting into the character? I know everybody's got their own method, but what's yours?
And so I also am an audition coach and acting teacher, and it's probably evolved. Probably when I was starting out, I was thinking about, oh, I really want to be good, which
Yeah.
is not what the character is thinking about. What I was going
Right.
to say is the way I explain it to my students is the mistake people make is playing their given circumstances rather than the character's given
Yep.
circumstances. So my character, who I'm playing, who's not an actor, is not thinking, I really want to be impressive in this part. I really want to blow people's minds. That's not what they're thinking. So
Mhm.
now when I get a script, it's what is this person? Everything I say is trying to achieve something or do something to the person or get something from the person to whom I'm speaking. So
Right.
what am I actually trying to achieve? What do I win if I achieve my goal in this scene? What do I lose if I don't achieve my goal? And it's different. I thought what you were going to ask me is what kind of parts do I like the most? Like I played a lot of crying moms. I played Hillary Duff on Chicago Hope getting brain surgery, and I was her mom.
Oh yeah.
All of my scenes were, in the waiting room, tearing handkerchiefs apart and crying, and I hate those parts. I hate those parts because everybody else is chit-chatting at craft service table, drinking coffee, schmoozing, talking, and when you're playing those people who are in the fetal position, and I do it, I've played them so many times, it's really awful. It's not fun at all. There's no
Mhm.
schmoozing, there's no sitting around drinking coffee, eating. You're in the fetal position trying to hang on because when those cameras roll and it says she's sobbing and can't hold back the tears, it's so hard. For me, it's just really hard to do that automatically.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen automatically. So the thing is, play the given circumstances. Use your imagination, make believe. It's really tough. The funnest things in the world are villains.
Yeah. Yep.
They're
No
I
doubt.
can see that.
so much more fun than playing a victim or playing somebody who's going through something really emotional. It's really hard for
Right.
me.
I hear you. Well,
That's good.
speaking of a heroic villain, depending on how you slice it, you can probably get the feeling that Peter and I kind of like Star Trek, the outfits, everything around us, etc. Our previous conversation, but the best of both worlds, the epic two-parter. Shelby, to me, is a beloved character. Not only from that, but just really in the franchise and a lot of really novels and comics that followed too. The story continued, and Peter David's wonderful series of novels, A New Frontier, which was in the '90s and the early 2000s. She was the main character, but one of the more famous kind of stories around that is that the second part was not written when the first part rolled and they wrapped it up and Riker said fire and they turned the cameras off and everybody went summer break.
Yeah.
And then famously, they were negotiating with Patrick Stewart's contract and they didn't, or at least so it's read in my friend Larry Nemechek's book. They didn't know if that was going to go through, and so maybe Riker was going to become the captain, and maybe Shelby did end up becoming XO, but maybe she was going to be permanent. So by the time camera started rolling again, probably like July, August, of 1990, because obviously the rest of us saw it in September. What was the buzz on the set like? How were you feeling? Like, what had you heard, and what did you think was going to go down?
Well, so how many years ago? I was 28 when I did the
Right.
best.
Yeah, 1990. So we're coming up on, I'm not even going to say, long time.
So I couple of things. We did not know what was going to happen, and so Jonathan, when I first showed up on the set, and he knew my dad, so he immediately took me under his wing and was just like, "My trailer's your trailer. You need a phone, whatever you need, make yourself at home." And he said, "We have no idea what's going to happen. We don't. If I'm maybe I was a Borg in disguise." Maybe we were going to end up falling in love and being in bed together. We had no idea what was going to happen. Maybe I
Wow.
kill Troy. I mean, we just had no idea. So he said, we've got to plant the seeds for that any eventual outcome makes sense. Plant little seeds. So there was some heat between us.
Yep.
Yep.
He's attracted and drawn to me, and the same with me. Like, I have a lot of respect for him, but because I think he's so smart, I get frustrated with his lack of decision making or rashness.
Right.
And all of those little side eyes of me being like, scramble the phaser settings, keep them guessing, and then
Right.
if we break the tractor beam and Patrick Stewart comes out and it's like, okay, good job, and I'm like, all of those little things that made people hate me, they were all on purpose. They were very, very deliberately put in there, planting the seeds so that whatever outcome happened in part two, you would be able to track it. It would make sense. I didn't want to play completely selfless, heroic in case it turned out that I was, a mad woman.
Right.
So all of that was very, very, on purpose. And the other thing that about the two different episodes that's really important is the last episode. Remember, this is back in the day when they would shoot 22 episodes.
Right. 26 in those seasons. Yeah.
I don't know how LeVar Burton and Brent Spiner did it I don't know how they did that day in and day out with the technobabble and then having that thing over your eyes. And poor Michael Dorn's head. So by the end of the season, people are done. They are done. They need a vacation. They're really tired.
Mhm.
They're just there was no tension, but just people like, hi, nice to meet you. A little bit like a little bit,
Perfunctory.
and then you have the summer and everybody goes away and they're eating, drinking, being able to live and see their families, coming back completely rejuvenated. So huge, huge difference in that.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so the set part two, it was like, hi, oh, I missed you, over the summer, and just kind of just completely rejuvenated. So that was, I remember that being very, very different.
Gotcha. Awesome. And were you overall happy with how it all wrapped up? Because Shelby gets to go off and does what? I mean, Peter's going to ask you about that, but were you pretty happy with the conclusion of it? Would you say she got a good shake?
Best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Yes, there's one moment whenever I watch part one that I'm like this because
No.
oh, my first day was a disaster. I did not know my lines well enough.
Mm.
It's a little bit of a long story, but I had never done nighttime episodic before. I'd only done the Guiding
Oh.
Light and commercials. And
Hmm.
on the Guiding Light, you would rehearse the whole script, then go back to your room, and then they would shoot. The stars got their scenes done so you had hours and hours before you actually shot. And so nighttime episodic film, you do what you rehearse a scene, you light the
Boom,
scene,
boom, boom.
the scene. And the first scene was the ready room where
Oh.
I had the line, projections suggest that a Borg ship like this one could continue to function effectively even if 78% of it
80% of
were
it.
rendered inoperable.
I remember the line too.
Could not say that line. We were in the makeup trailer and they're like, okay, we're ready. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We're shooting right now? I thought I had all day to learn that line. So when I watch it, I hope nobody else can see it. I
Oh God,
see
no.
abject terror. I
No, you're a professional. I would never have had any clue.
I
Any
can
clue.
see it in my eyes. Deer caught in the headlights. Dear God, let me get this line out. It was awful. It was so embarrassing. I think nowadays I would have been fired. Just tripping up, couldn't get it out. It was awful. So of course I went home that night and learned all of my lines for the whole rest of the shoot. And I will never forget that line for as long as I live.
No way. Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, has a very similar story about his screen test for Star Wars, and I've heard him recite the line. It's something that wasn't even in the movie, but you telling me that story really reminds me of that. Well, I watch that two-parter pretty frequently, and I will be pretty laser focused on watching you the next time I do.
Watch it next time. I can see that. Get it out, get it out, get it out. Oh my God, I got it out. I mean, I can see just terror.
Oh my
I can feel, or maybe I'm just having PTSD. Uh, it's an emotional sense memory for me. But
Right.
that was the very first day, and that was like,
Oh my
oh
God.
my God.
Yeah.
That
If I
is
picked up on it, I just chalked it up to the character going like, I'm dealing with command officers and I'm just a little bit worried about
yeah,
something right
right.
now.
Oh yeah. Just lean into it. That's
Right.
good stuff.
Yeah. So I know I am very happy, and I remember when part two aired. I think they showed one. And then after the summer, they showed one and two, so you could watch them
Okay.
in a. I
Gotcha.
think that's what they did. I can't remember. And I remember
Could be.
Michael Dorn came over to my house and we watched it together. And I was like, that was like a movie. I felt like I was watching a big feature film. It was so.
I went and saw they released it on Blu-ray, I think back in 2012, and it was in the
Yeah,
theaters
they did a theatrical
briefly.
release.
So my wife and I went and saw it, and it was just like, oh, it's the greatest thing of all time. It was awesome. Because they had
Remember when we're shooting it, I didn't know what the cube looked like. We never saw the cube until we saw
oh
that whole thing. We didn't hear that music. Da da. We didn't hear that. We don't know that. We're in the room going, okay, we take a hit. What is this, a 4 or a 10? That's what
Which way are we hit, left or right?
yeah, go left, go right, no seatbelts in the chairs.
we're dealing with. I was like, you're kidding me. That's what you do.
Oh my
That's
God.
seriously how you do that.
Oh.
Have you ever
was
seen
how- it
the
was
videos that where
making
someone like camera stabilizes it? It's kind of fun.
Oh, shaking back and forth with the camera. Oh my gosh. Peter.
Yeah. So dwelling on Shelby just a little bit longer, because why not? So when you came back in Picard season 3, I thought it was really, really cool because like I heard your voice and I was like, I know who that is. And then we saw you on screen. So that was really neat. though maybe the outcome not so much.
Kind of bummer.
But that was a little sad. But how was it stepping back into the role? Like, I mean, it was a stretch of time. And then when you did that, did you like have like an idea of like where the character had been in the last 30 some odd years between the time to just be like
It
get into
was
different space?
it was first of all, I was like, "What?" After so long. And I think I'd love to know. I'm very curious. I wish I could ask Terry or Jonathan because it was right when things were slowly opening up after post COVID. So everybody shot. I think Michelle Forbes did as a scene with Patrick Stewart, but they were shooting individual people one at a time.
Oh, gotcha.
And
That explains the jump cuts. Yeah.
I had to have a nurse come to my house and take my temperature and test me. And I was getting tested like the 3 days before going in, 2 days before going in, the day I was going in, taking my temperature,
Oh
wearing
gosh.
masks, socially isolated. You're going to be here. So I was completely alone. There were extras, but we wore our masks until the very last second, and everybody was masked and distanced. And I wonder if they would have done something different. But if knowing the protocols, if how can we make a story? How can we make a show where we're just people shooting individual people? If the story might have done something different, I'd have no idea how much
Mhm.
that affected what
Yeah.
was done. But yeah, I wish I had more. I wish I could come back. I'd love to come back. But I was very, very, very happy about was I went in for wardrobe fittings and had a tailor-made two-piece suit, so no giant rubber onesie. Thank God.
Yep.
My costume was awesome. I loved it. It was so, so comfortable. And I was able to say to hair and makeup, I loathed my hairstyle on Best of Both Worlds. That I wanted something sleek and pulled together and to change that whole look. And to come back, that felt very vindicating to come back.
Yeah.
Being in charge of how I was going to be present myself felt really, really good. And who knows, fingers crossed there was no body. We never saw a body. So
Never a
Yep.
body. That's the rule on TV or comic books. If there's not a body,
exactly.
she could have slunk off somewhere and hid under a console, and then
Uh,
came out and it was all fine.
unless you see
Fingers
the
crossed.
unless you see the body in the torpedo tube, it didn't.
Yeah,
So
right.
Actually,
Yeah, Spock came back. You know.
if you're up on guiding light lore, but I played Blake Lindsay, the daughter of Roger Thorpe, who died like 20 years before, and he came back. So if he could keep coming back, I mean,
how
holy cow.
how perfectly that you've segued into my next question, because I wanted to talk about Guiding Light. I grew up on Days of Our Lives. That was my mom's soap. As much as I would have watched it as a 10-year-old, but
Okay,
um
Days of Our Lives trivia. Do you remember when Deirdre Hall was being exorcised?
yes, I've seen the clips. I've seen them.
You know who was the priest doing the exorcism?
Was it your dad?
My husband.
Oh my god.
He also played the priest in Titanic.
Oh my goodness! I'm a huge fan. I think I've seen on some of your social media that and recognize your husband seeing that. So that's fascinating. But
it's neat.
Guiding Light, yes. Tell me about Guiding Light. So that was close to the beginning of your career, and you kind of summed up a lot of that. You said they do a lot of kind of pickups with the main actors, and then so you're sitting there and reading your lines in your trailer, but I've always kind of read that like being on a soap is like a show on steroids because it's like always in production. There's no break. It's like every day.
So how long does it take to make a really good movie? How long does it take to make? What's your favorite movie? How long does it take from start
Uh,
to finish?
Raiders of the Lost Ark, maybe a year. I think it was a year. They made that in 1980, came out in 1981.
So we were producing an hour of content a day.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So that gives you an idea. So if you flub the lines, start moving on. Didn't
Yep.
matter. The cameras bumping into lights, moving on, didn't matter. And so, I'm just going to say the quality is somewhat lacking when you're working that quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, soap operas were in between commercials to get you to watch the commercials.
Correct.
right? So
Right.
and that's its what are we talking about? The given circumstances. Those are the given circumstances
Mhm.
of a soap opera. So it's just about getting women to watch and buy the detergent. So the most I was only on Guiding Light for a year, but what's really interesting is Michelle Forbes and I met on that set and became
Oh,
still really good
Oh.
friends. She came
yeah.
to my wedding in Ireland, and so that's a little fun tidbit. Um, yeah, recently she and I had went out and had dinner with Nana Visitor.
Oh, we've had Nana on the show. She's awesome.
She's great. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we all know each other in Hollywood. Colin Meaney is one of my husband's oldest and dearest friends. Both
Oh my gosh.
they're both from Ireland. And
Right.
I was doing a play when I first moved to LA. I was doing a play called The Secret Rapture down at South Coast with an actor named Simon Templeman, who and another actress named Barbara Dowling. And Simon, during a break, picked up the payphones before cell phones,
Oh my.
called his wife and said, "Hey, Barbara, my wife Rosalind just got cast as your husband's wife on Deep Space Nine."
Oh my goodness.
Simon is one of my son's godfathers, and Colin is the other son's godfather. And Roz and Simon are dear, dear friends, and we all know each other.
Well, hopefully, if
That's
you like
cool.
talking to us, you would be open to some referrals because we love talking to Star Trek people. But I digress. No, that's awesome. I've always wondered that about soaps because you just, it's like you said, it's a vehicle. And my mom sold television advertising; that was her career.
Right.
So I'm very familiar with, and I worked in radio selling advertising myself, so I'm very familiar with. Got to get you to the next ad break. So that's
Yeah.
pretty interesting stuff. So Peter,
Okay, so I have a question about something a little bit more recent, at least as best as I can tell. So I saw in your wiki page that you had helped create an immersive theater production of Tori and Tina's wedding.
Yes.
I am not familiar. I haven't seen that term before, though I got a basic idea of it from like reading the description and stuff. But would you be able to give us like walk us through the creative process of what that was like and how it's different from normal theater?
Oh, okay. So Tony and Tina's wedding came out it was a group from college. I went to Hofstra University on Long Island. I'm from Long Island. That's a very important part of this show. So Mark Nasser and Nancy Casaro. Oh my God, I was thinking of her married name, Nancy Casaro. They were friends in college, friends with us in the theater department, and they would do this improv like, "Tina, get out of the way! I can't see the TV." And they would improvise as if they were this Queens Italian couple. Like, you want me to make you a plate? And they would just improvise. And then Mark had the idea to have a wedding, do an Italian queen's wedding with ziti, and invite the audience to be the guests at the wedding. So we were all studying acting class together after we graduated. We were all studying with the same acting teacher, and we just started meeting and talking about how we would do it, how we would have the tickets, and people would come to the show, and they would be guests of people who, and they did not know that it was a show. They thought
Mm.
they were going to a wedding.
Oh my gosh.
We would all be dressed up, and we wore really tacky, red dresses. We were like, my name was Donna Marsala, and I was the bridesmaid who sang with the band at the wedding
Oh my God.
reception. And my boyfriend is Dominic Fabrizi. And so it's this Italian queen's wedding, and people would come up the steps into the church and go, "Oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long. Get over here." And you would come up to me, and I would just assign you a characteristic. One of the most emblematic stories was after the wedding reception, after the wedding ceremony, then we would all go to a reception. We would dance, we have a band, pull the garter, throw the bouquet, everything. On the steps of the church, waiting to go to the reception, I see in the audience coming down to the receiving line, so it's like a real wedding, my actual real life gynecologist. So I had to very quickly figure out, because I can't be Elizabeth, I'm Donna. And so very quickly I had to make a decision. I just went, Dr. Lewenstein. Oh my God, I didn't know you knew Tina. Come here, Dominic. This is my gynecologist, Dr.
Oh
Lewenstein.
my God.
The actor playing my boyfriend was like, "Oh, you and I are the only ones who know what's going on down there."
Oh my God.
So it was just completely improvised, off the cuff. We had markers, we had things that happened. If you think of a three-ring circus,
Mhm.
there's all this activity going on in the two side rings, but then there's a story like Tina's ex-boyfriend shows up, crashes the wedding. Oh my God, and what's going to happen with that? And oh my God, he's drinking. Oh no, Michael took a drink. So our job was to send focus, make sure the audience, even though they were dancing, having fun, they didn't miss any of the important story parts.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome. Good. That is
Exhausting.
that.
Exhausting.
I
And
bet.
you want to know something? Oh my God, I don't know how I did it. Youth. I would get up in the morning at 4:30 in the morning, shoot on the guiding light, and then take a cab downtown and do that show, dancing for 3 hours
Oh,
with
sheesh.
like crazy makeup, and then go home and learn 40 pages for the next day.
Oh my God.
Wow. That's intense.
Hardest working lady in show business.
Yeah.
That's absolutely incredible. Well, God, man, that's our time. This has been absolutely fantastic.
You're kidding
Thank you for
time.
thank you for spending some time with us. So tell me what you got coming up as we're getting into the summer here.
Lots of travel. I'm directing a show at the Hammer Museum June 16th. There's this Irish thing called Bloomsday where every June 16th, Irish people gather and they read excerpts from James Joyce's Ulysses. And I'm
Wow.
directing that. So I just spent all day editing that script. And I'm praying and hoping for Horizon 2 to come out. Horizon 1 came out.
Right.
We shot Horizon 2. So I'm hoping that that eventually sees the light of day.
Excellent.
Yes.
And you're gonna be joining us here in Michigan, because as I was telling you, Peter and I are in West Michigan, but you're going to be at Capital City Comic Con, and I don't have the dates in front of me. Scroll it back up. That is July 10, 11, and 12 in
Yes.
Lansing, Michigan.
The weekend of the 12th, yes, in Lansing, Michigan. And I'm kind of really green in terms of Michigan. So I'm really looking forward to it. Have never really been. So
Gotcha. Well, I will move heaven and earth to come say hello, so that you can have a familiar face. Well, familiar face through the screen anyway. But yeah, this has been great, and what a heck of a storyteller you are. Thank you so
oh my
much.
gosh, thank you.
You bet. All right. Well, listeners, thanks for tuning in. Keep in mind you can visit us on Patreon at patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite for all of our Spotlight interviews, including the wonderful one that we've had with Elizabeth Dennehy. Elizabeth, thank you again.
Anytime.
All right.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.